all your school rugby, all in one place. This is Next Gen 15.
Hi there, it's Angus Savage from Next Gen 15. We're here at Dallaglio Rugby Works offices to chat to Lawrence Dallaglio, the former England captain and British and Irish Lion, to talk about Dallaglio Rugby Works, everything that they do, and also to talk about schoolboy rugby, hear his views on the game, where the game's going. It's going to be great fun, looking forward to it. Good to meet you, Lawrence. Dallaglio Rugby Works, we're here to talk about, you've always had quite a strong relationship with school rugby in terms of some of the scholars that you had in the past, people like James Catlin, Ben Woods at Millfield and RGS High Wycombe. How did it feel to sort of see guys like that make that kind of progression through the work that you guys have done?
Yeah, I was obviously very proud of seeing some of those young people come through the system, working with them. Rugby has always been a sport that needs to try and be as inclusive as it possibly can. There's a perception, maybe wrongly, about rugby that it's only available to a certain number of people. I think the sport itself has done an enormous amount to try and grow and make itself more accessible to a lot of people, but historically it's tended to be played at independent schools, although the RFU's programme, All Schools programme, has tried to change that. My own experience of rugby came really when I went to Ampleforth College, a big rugby school, and when I arrived there I was given a support system to really enable me to thrive at one particular sport. So Rugby Works, has got a history of working with young people, maybe putting them into an environment where they will have those opportunities. And we've worked with the likes of RGS High Wycombe, we've worked with Millfield, a number of other schools, Wellington, to try and place young people in the right environment where they can make the best of their talents. And it's incredibly proud to see that journey and that pathway that those young people have been on.
Tell me a bit about your experience at Ampleforth in terms of the rugby. What was that like? Was it straight into the deep end or a big slog to get to the top?
Well, Ampleforth is a Benedictine school, a Catholic school. It's probably the premier Catholic school in the country, and there's only one thing they take more seriously than religion at Ampleforth, and that's rugby. And that was made pretty clear when I first arrived. I was a big football fan. I wanted to be a Premiership footballer, if I'm honest, like most young British people. You think you're good at football, and then you realise actually you're not that good, and then you start playing rugby. And then if you're not very good at rugby, they put you in a boat. But thankfully I could catch, no, I'm only joking. I really enjoyed my rugby at Ampleforth. It started to become quite serious for me. I played in the backs, and then when I got to 16 I moved to the forward pack, and it started to get even more interesting because I just really enjoyed being part of that. I had like a lot of young people, I had a mentor and a coach, a chap called John Wilcox, who played for England at fullback in the 60s.
Fullback John Wilcox made it a goal.
And he was a very inspiring role model for us, as a coach, as a man, and sort of taught us the values of rugby as well as the game itself, technically, around discipline, around respect, and about your work ethic. And I really enjoyed it. As I said, it didn't come naturally to me initially, and it maybe became a bit more fun when I grew from about 5'8" to about 6'4" over one summer. What I loved about the game is that it is a game genuinely played by people of all shapes and sizes. I think it's a community that is inclusive. I really felt that, really felt part of a family. And it celebrates difference and togetherness. And I think that's something that's quite unique about rugby. In fact, it's our difference that brings us together and unites us on the pitch. And it's it's something very, very special. And it was the start of a journey really for me at Ampleforth, because that's when I started to take rugby quite seriously. I never dreamt in my wildest dreams that I would end up playing it professionally or as a career. It was just a hobby along with a number of other sports at that time.
If I'm not mistaken, you won the Ross and Park Sevens when you were back at Ampleforth. What was that like? That must have been sort of first taste of silverware, big experience. What were your kind of memories of that?
At Ampleforth, rugby was, as I said, very much part of the curriculum. You know, we used to train at first break, second break, every break. In fact, there were no breaks, and if they were filled with rugby training. So it was very much part of your kind of everyday life. They had a strong team. I think when I arrived at Ampleforth, their first 15 had been unbeaten for like 3 or 4 years. And they played a pretty hard northern circuit of rugby, you know, against all the grammar schools in Newcastle, Leeds. So it was a pretty tough environment to grow up in. And then they had a great reputation at playing in the Rosslyn Park Sevens, which was the National Sevens tournament. And that was my first kind of experience of playing seven-a-side rugby. Really enjoyed it. We won the festival tournament, we won the open tournament. So yeah, it was great to come down to London as the kind of northern side. And take on all sorts of teams from all over the country, and you know, we came out on top. We played 4 consecutive days of sevens, and managed to win the tournament. It was a great experience, and kind of gave me that kind of the feeling of what it's like to be in a tournament, to be part of a winning side, and that experience of going up there to pick up a trophy and be part of something collectively. And I think that's the real buzz for me. You know, it's not an individual sport, rugby, it's a collective sport. You rely on each other.
And I guess actually in terms of Dallaglio Rugby Works, that's a really important part, because that team sort of ethic and if you don't pull your weight, someone else can't. I imagine that sort of lesson is quite an important part of the rugby values that you want within the charity.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, Rugby Works as a charity is a, you know, we're an educational charity, we're not necessarily a sports charity. You know, I think sometimes the lines get blurred. You know, we're an educational charity that uses sport, and in this case rugby, as a hook to get people, you know, to behave in a certain way, to move their lives forward in the right direction. And as you say, we use the values of rugby about respect, about teamwork, about discipline, about enjoyment, about sportsmanship. We use those values because I think those values of rugby are really important sort of metaphors for what happens in your life. From my own personal experience, rugby came into my life at a time when I really needed something to give me a bit of focus, a bit of discipline. I had some difficult circumstances as a teenager. I lost my sister not far from here on the River Thames in the Marchioness. In fact, ironically, today is the anniversary of the Marchioness, would you believe it, in 1989. So my life changed from the age of 16 onwards, and I needed something in my life that was going to help me to switch things in a positive direction, and that became rugby, really. So I think I know better than anyone the power of what a sport like rugby can do to really put you on a positive path, to change your mindset and to make you start living and breathing those values.
Awesome day here at Dallaglio Rugby Works. Great to speak to Lawrence, hear about the foundation and the great work that they're doing, and also to get his views on schoolboy rugby, hear about his time when he was at Ampleforth College, and also winning the Rosslyn Park Sevens, one of the last people ever to win the Open and the Festival in the same year. A legend right from the start. Brilliant day. Hope you guys have enjoyed it.